Erica, if I say the words to you, Olivia Rodrigo
Mm-hmm.
and Sabrina Carpenter,
Mm-hmm.
what comes to mind?
Mm. Guts. I don't know. I'm not sure. For some reason, sometimes I used to, I don't anymore. I used to kind of get them mixed up because they're like a similar,
Really?
they're like a similar genre of people for me. And
Okay.
that's,
Well,
that's probably the elder millennial in me, just not
mm-hmm,
knowing new people. You know what
mm-hmm,
I mean?
mm-hmm. Do you have any familiarity with their quote unquote feud?
I don't.
None
Mm-mm.
whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
And
that's
now
exciting.
maybe when you talk about it, it'll jog my memory. But right off the
Mm-hmm.
bat, I can't think of anything. I feel like didn't Olivia Rodrigo have some beef with Taylor Swift there for a hot minute?
Yeah, Taylor's involved. She's involved.
Okay. So is it the same beef?
There is a multitude of beef here.
Okay.
So yes, there's
Well,
beef
I
that
like
involves
beef.
Taylor. Yeah, it's going to be a juicy season finale because surprise, this is our season finale.
Surprise.
Surprise. I realized we hadn't said anything about the fact that this is the season finale, so all of our listeners are finding out now.
But now you know.
Now you know. So season 2 finale, Sabrina Carpenter, Olivia Rodrigo. Erica's going to be learning along with the rest of you, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Two Queens, Two Crowns. I'm your host, KJ Miller, founder, lecturer, and content creator.
And I am Erica Manganelli, pop culture humorist and content creator.
And today, as our season 2 finale, we are talking about two very talented and very young women, Olivia Rodrigo and Sabrina Carpenter. And when I say young, I mean young. How old do you think they are?
Well, I was just about to say that because I'm like, I think 25.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Sabrina is 25. Olivia is 22, and she just turned 22 this month.
She feels 22.
Yeah, so they are quite young, very, very talented. And this has actually been a request. I have gotten a request from multiple people over the course of the last 2 seasons to dive into Olivia and Sabrina. And I felt like once I actually started looking into it, I was like, you know what? I think this would be a good finale because there are kind of multiple beefs going on. As you alluded to, we get a Taylor Swift cameo in here. A lot of things that we love all coming into one in this one episode. So I think it's going to be a good finale.
Is the beef boy-based, music-based, friendship breakup based? What are we looking at?
We've got some boy beef.
I knew a man was involved.
And we've got some music beef.
Okay. Yep, I remember that part.
And we've got some friendship beef. So ding, ding, ding. Okay. We've got it all.
It's the best kind of beef.
We've got it all. And at the center of it, you have two women who I listened to both of their latest albums. I thought both of them were phenomenal. I think both of them are so talented and really at the beginning of their career. So like we still have so much more to see from them and that I'm very excited about. I'm excited to see what their growth looks like. So I'm excited to have this conversation because I think both of these women are really phenomenal, and the narrative surrounding them, particularly a couple years ago, is just something, we might as well dig into it. Just see what the people had to say.
I feel like these girlies brought back pop or something.
Yeah.
Like pop was lost there for a hot minute and then they brought it back.
They brought it back.
So I'm excited.
Okay, so let's dig in. And actually, before we do, I will just announce, yes, it's our finale. We are taking the month of March off, but we will be back in April. So you don't have to be too sad. But I think Erica and I have earned a break. And this is the 20th episode. And I try to do 20 episode seasons. So
yeah,
here we are.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Don't worry about that. Okay, but let's dig in. So first of all, what do you know about either of these women? I know you're not that familiar with the beef between them, but what comes to mind when you think about Olivia and Sabrina?
Olivia, I don't know a lot about. And Sabrina, I feel like, wasn't she a child star?
Mm-hmm. They both were.
Oh, they both were. Okay, I didn't know they both were. And where did Olivia, what did she star in as a child?
So this is one of those episodes where, and I feel like this happens to us so much, these two have so
Much in
much
common.
in common, which I did not realize. So first of all, both of them grew up very much singing, acting, wanting to be in entertainment, and they both fortunately grew up with parents who wanted to support that. So we're putting them in, shows and supporting their songwriting at a very young age. So I'll start with Sabrina. She's originally from Pennsylvania, like
Mhm.
Taylor Swift,
Okay.
but she started singing very early and actually started putting videos of herself on YouTube as early as age 9.
I've seen a few.
Yes, because like showing off basically covers of other people's songs. And there's also a whole thread of there was some Miley Cyrus contest show. It was called like the Miley Cyrus Project, where she was looking for like the next child star.
Okay.
And so you had to submit all these videos of yourself singing as a child. So there are a ton of videos of Sabrina Carpenter singing just like a bunch of different cover songs, partially because she was trying to get cast in this Miley Cyrus, be the next Miley Cyrus show or whatever, or the next Miley Cyrus star. But there are a ton of videos of her from when she was really young, and eventually she gets her big break. She's in like an episode of Law and Order. She does like some small stuff, but eventually she gets her big break on Disney Channel because she is in that show Girl Meets World, which of course is the reboot
Oh, okay. I
of
loved
Boy
that
Meets
show.
World.
I was like an adult. I was a full adult watching that show.
You were watching Girl Meets World?
I was.
Oh,
Yeah,
that is
because
so
I
funny.
loved Boy Meets World. So Girl
I did
Meets
too.
World came about, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm gonna watch that shit." And I
Okay,
liked it. I was into it.
Okay, so I loved Boy Meets World, but Girl Meets World didn't catch me. I think I watched just the first episode and I was like, okay, this is for children, and that's fine.
It's definitely for children. Like and just to be fair, like I've watched like a handful of episodes and I really like them, but I didn't like watch it religiously. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, so she got cast on that show 2014, so she would have been 15 at the time, and that was kind of her big break because she, I think, was on the show for all 3 seasons.
Yeah, I think she was. She was one of the main characters, and by the way, was very good on the show.
Yeah. So that's Sabrina Carpenter. Now, Olivia Rodrigo, she originally is from California. She's also half Filipino. Her father is Filipino. And she, similar to Sabrina, began taking singing and acting lessons really young, like while she was in kindergarten. And she also started writing songs at a really young age. And so her big break also came on the Disney Channel. She started
Disney
in a
Channel
show.
is always everyone's start.
That's where everyone's getting their start. She was in some show called Aardvark. Now, have you heard of that show?
See, this is why I don't know her. I don't know what that is at all.
I've never heard of that show. I don't know anything about it. But she got cast on that show in 2016. She would have been 13 years old when she made her debut on Disney. And then after she was in Aardvark, she was also in the show High School Musical, the series.
Okay, yeah. Which I also didn't watch.
No, I did not watch that either. And I remember being like the name of that show throwing me off. It was literally called Disney Plus's High School Musical, the series. Okay, that was the full name of the show.
That's too much.
It's too much. Okay, and I think they were trying to be like campy about it or whatever, but I'm just like, that's too many words.
How long was that on? 1 year?
I think it was just the 1 year. I think it was basically from 2019 to 2020. And this is where we get the start of drama number 1 between her and Sabrina Carpenter.
Okay.
Drama number 1 is the boy drama. So remember, we're going to have a boy drama, a music drama, and a friend drama.
Yeah.
This is the boy drama. Okay. So while she is on High School Musical, the series, she...
That name is giving could never last for more than a season. Like,
I know.
And I don't know why anyone didn't recognize that before it came out. It's like so many executives that I had to go through and no one noticed that.
Just so funny. Every time I read it, I'm like, we can't be serious. Why?
No, oh man, that's goofy.
Okay, so while she was on that show, her love interest on the show is somebody called Joshua Bassett. Now, are you familiar with
Mm.
Joshua Bassett?
I've heard his name, and I am gonna look up his face so I could put a
Put a
face
face
to
to a
it.
name, yeah.
Okay, and the face isn't helping. I have no I have no idea who the fuck this is.
Not the face isn't helping.
For some reason, I thought I was going to see him and be like, oh, yeah, I know who that is. No, I have no idea who this is.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. And he was born in the year 2000.
Yes. Okay. Let me tell you why you and I are the same. Because first of all, when I saw the name, nothing came to mind. Not a single thought. I've never heard of a Joshua Bassett. And then when I looked him up, I had the same reaction. I was like, no, I've never seen this man. Sorry to this man. I have never seen this man.
Sorry to this young boy. He is right. Or it feels like he is, but he's not.
Yeah, he's roughly
he's
a
25.
child. So,
he's 25.
Okay, so anyway, they play love interests on High School Musical, the series. And
then they fell in real love.
And then, well, the speculation is, yes, that they were in a real relationship. Now, as far as I know, neither one of them either fully confirmed that there was a relationship, but we're pretty sure that there was a relationship. Okay, so now they're in a relationship, and that's all cute and all good and whatever.
Okay.
But things start to take a turn because he releases a song. This is another thing that I didn't know about this man.
He's a musician.
He's a musician.
No.
Yes. And you know what?
What does he sing?
A lot of this tale over the course of the next hour, we are going to be listening to some snippets of songs because a lot of the tale, songs are important to this tale. However, we're not going to be listening to his songs. I draw a line. Okay.
They're musical songs. They're like, okay.
There's
they're songs for a musical, not
no. They're songs like for an album. Like
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, so this first song he releases, summer 2020, he releases a song called Anyone Else. And the assumption is that this song is about Olivia Rodrigo. And some of the lyrics are, again, we're not going to listen to it, but some of the lyrics are, how am I supposed to think about anything else? How am I to go on keeping this to myself? I am done pretending I want anyone else. Okay, so now we're thinking this is a song.
Secret relationship song.
And it's you're right. And now what he goes on record and says is like, this is that he wrote it about a friend who he like wanted.
But he
to be
wrote
with.
it, or someone wrote it for him.
Well, he says he wrote it, and fine.
Okay, sure.
We'll say he did.
Came from the heart.
However, in June of 2020, he's spotted with Sabrina Carpenter. And interestingly, they're spotted at a Black Lives Matter rally of all places.
Okay, that's so random. Okay.
Yeah, but they're spotted together. So people are kind of scratching their heads because they're like, now, wait a minute. I thought you were with Olivia Rodrigo. But now you're out here, with Sabrina Carpenter. And so people are kind of scratching their heads. And then in January 2021, so call it 6 months later, that's when we get Olivia Rodrigo's debut single, Driver's License. Now, what do you know about that song?
We're driving by his house. Oh, no.
Yes.
Shit. Okay, so it was about her. That song had to be about her.
So the speculation, and we're going to listen to a snippet of it. The speculation is that this is a song about Joshua Bassett and him basically leaving her for Sabrina Carpenter.
Okay. I knew this was about a boy, and I knew there was some drama, but I didn't know it was about this guy who I've never seen before.
So let's just listen to a snippet. This is basically the part of the song that people say is about the two of them.
Okay.
Oh, and I will just note for our YouTube watchers, you're going to have to watch these on your own. I'm not paying the royalties to Google to play all these songs for y'all. So if you're listening, you'll get to hear the snippets. If you're watching, we'll include the links so you can follow along.
Oh my gosh, it was about her.
You see?
Okay.
Now those lyrics hit. Now that you know the backstory.
Wait, they really do, because I already like that song, but wow.
I did too, but I didn't know anything about this, you know? So she literally starts off, she's like, you're probably with that blonde girl. And she said, who always made me doubt. And then she goes, she's so much older than me. Okay, now Sabrina Carpenter is 3 years older than her. Okay.
Oh my gosh, I know that's not so much older. It's not. But when you're like 22, or right. She might have been like 19 at that time, right?
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, she was quite young.
I mean, that probably felt a lot older. Like that 21-year-old bitch. Definitely.
So, of course, everybody hears this song and everyone's like, oh, snaps. This is about Joshua Bassett and Sabrina Carpenter. But then what's so crazy is, and I didn't know that this is what was happening. A week later, Joshua Bassett drops his single.
No.
Which is the answer to Driver's License. Oh, and then a week after that, Sabrina Carpenter drops her single, which is the answer to Driver's License. So Joshua
Sabrina's
Bassett
song was it?
Okay, so Joshua Bassett's song is called Lie, Lie, Lie.
Okay, yeah, but I had some questions, because in his song, before her song dropped, in his initial song, he's kind of acting like she wanted to keep the relationship a secret, and like he didn't. Right? He was like, he's sick of keeping it a secret.
Yeah.
Right?
He's saying, I'm done pretending that I want anyone else. Like, how am I supposed to think about anyone else, anything else? So, yes.
And now she's pissed because he went and got somebody else, right?
It sounds like he went and got somebody else.
And now he's calling her a liar.
Yes. So he drops a song called Lie, 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 which, again, we're not going to listen to. But the lyrics are, these are just some of the lyrics in the song. So they told me all the things that you said, running all over my name, and you're acting oh so innocent, like I'm the only one to blame. You've been lying to yourself, lie to everyone else, only thinking about yourself. Darling, what the hell? And then the chorus is, so you can lie, 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 lie. Go ahead and try. It won't work this time. I kiss your ass goodbye, bye.
Why do I feel like I've heard this song, actually? Because when you sing it like that, I'm like, I think that maybe I've actually heard this song before. Shit.
So now
he wasn't even subtle about that shit.
No.
He's like, you're a liar.
Here's the thing. People who were very keyed in, I guess, to the two of them and the drama, they heard this song, but the world did not. Okay. Right, Driver's License went to number one. It shot to number one. It had a whole moment. Olivia ended up winning Best New Artist at the Grammys. Like, Driver's License was like a big deal. Okay. Whereas Lie, 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 who hurt?
the people that know Lie, Lie, Lie also know his face.
Yes, exactly. But the rest of the world really didn't know anything about this. Okay, but that was his answer. Then a week later, Sabrina Carpenter releases a song called Skin. Now we are going to listen to Skin. Okay. And I will say what was interesting is Joshua Bassett reacted to Skin on his IG. He posts and he says, "This has been stuck in my head since I heard it. Congratulations, Sabrina Carpenter." Mind you, he didn't have anything to say about Driver's License. Okay.
It's so messy. I love it.
Okay, so let's listen to Skin. Hold on.
All right, let's listen to it.
So.
I never even heard that song. That's
me
the
neither.
first time I ever heard it before. But
me neither.
Maybe blonde was the only rhyme. that was a good burn.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for me, having no idea that any of this was going on, when I actually started digging in and listening to these little songs, I was like, oh, y'all were really just putting it all out there for everybody.
But this also feels exactly like the Camila Cabello, like Sabrina Carpenter thing.
Yeah, yes, I agree. It does feel a lot like that. But yes, to your point about these words, I mean, she literally says, because everyone's assuming she's singing to Olivia Rodrigo. And I will say, I saw an interview with Ryan Seacrest after this song dropped. It kind of felt like Sabrina confirmed it without saying it in so many words. But these lyrics are, maybe we could have been friends if I met you in another life. Maybe then we could pretend there's no gravity in the words we write. Maybe you didn't mean it. Maybe blonde was the only rhyme. And then she says,
it's like, I know you're not talking about me, bitch. That's what it says.
She says, "You've been telling your side, so I'll be telling mine. You can try to get under my skin while he's all on my skin." Like, I mean,
Oof,
Sabrina said,
gagged.
"Oh, if we want to talk about it, we can talk about it."
Oh my gosh, gagged. But she's so good lyrically too. Like,
She is.
honestly, they kind of all are.
Yeah. But then again, like, there were plenty of people who heard this song Skin, and actually, according to the Ryan Seacrest interview that I watched right after this dropped, he said it had like 10 million streams in the first 48 hours.
Wow.
So
People were waiting.
People definitely were waiting, and people were listening, but it still pales in comparison to the moment Olivia Rodrigo
For sure. She was the
was
winner.
having, like, I think Driver's License crossed 1 billion streams on Spotify. Like,
That song was like the hit of the summer when it came out or whatever.
It was a huge song. And I would say her releasing that huge song obviously was a huge debut for her. The song went to number 1. Her album went to number 1. Her album had the biggest opening sales week of any album in 2021. But also it helped Sabrina because, like I said, her song had, 10 million streams in the first 48 hours. And Sabrina's next album release, which actually was her 5th album, Emails I Can't Send, which came out the following year, that ended up being her biggest album to date. Obviously Short and Sweet Now was her biggest, but like up until that point, Emails I Can't Send was a much bigger launch for her than her previous studio albums. And I would say, like, yeah, this sort of like quote unquote drama with Olivia Rodrigo definitely helps. I think it made more people anticipate what she was going to drop next.
Totally. Yeah. They were like waiting for it. They're like, she's going to get her. Let's listen.
Yeah.
Drama sells.
Drama absolutely sells. But I will say, to me, like, in listening to all this music and like reading what happened for this particular drama, the boy drama, I think Olivia and Sabrina both just came out ahead. I think
so too. Yeah. I mean, because we don't even know him.
Right. We literally don't know him. I think they both used this moment to propel themselves further into stardom. And I feel like it actually was a great way for both of them to even further separate themselves from their Disney backgrounds. Because, stars have
Disney
talked about
want the whole boy drama thing.
And stars have talked about how hard it can be to transition out of being seen as like a child Disney star into being seen as a grown-up. So I feel like launching with like this love triangle just sort of helped distance both of them from their Disney past. And so I really feel like, as far as love triangles go, this is one of the most lucrative love triangles of all time. They're both humongous superstars. And I think this song, Driver's License, and this like little bitty drama definitely helps with that.
Tell me where Taylor Swift comes into this. Because I know it's coming.
It's coming. It is coming. And okay, so we've more or less wrapped drama number 1. Drama number 1 was the boy drama. And
check.
Check. They both moved on. Fine. Then we get into the Taylor drama. And the Taylor drama is really where we start to see Sabrina on the rise, because part 1, 2021, that's Olivia Rodrigo's year, and yes, Sabrina's making music as well, but like she's not in the mainstream consciousness. Okay, well, the Taylor drama is where we get into the mainstream consciousness for Sabrina, because this is what happens. Now, first of all, both of them are Taylor Swift fans from a very, very young age. And in fact, I found a video of Sabrina Carpenter when she was 10 years old singing Picture to Burn. And it's just like the cutest little video.
I've seen that video.
You've seen it?
Yeah.
It's so cute. I want to just play a little bit of it for our listeners.
She was such a cute little
kid. So you can get a sense. Yeah. Very cute.
Wait, I love that's on her YouTube. That's the best.
Yes, it's on her YouTube. And also, I just discovered that song because I finally listened to Taylor's debut album a couple weeks ago. And I love that little song. So
I know. It's so cute.
I was over here jamming. But yeah, so she's been a Taylor Swift fan from a very young age, and so has Olivia Rodrigo. Olivia Rodrigo has talking about just how inspired she's always been by Taylor. And while I didn't find, I'm sure if I did more digging, I could find a clip of her at age 9 on YouTube singing Taylor. Most of the videos I actually found of Olivia at age 8, 9, 10 singing, oh, she's not singing Taylor, honey. She is singing like Broadway musicals. She is singing, but she is singing like she sounds fantastic.
I thought at some point, didn't Taylor give her like advice on how? Okay, yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. But she has gone on record and said, like, I think there's a quote where Olivia Rodrigo was saying how she, when she was really little, was writing songs about pickup trucks, even though she had never even seen a pickup truck because of Taylor Swift. She's like, oh, that's what Taylor's singing about, and that's what I'm going to be singing about.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Kids are so funny.
But the clip I will play is Olivia sang a cover of Cruel Summer, and this is going to be important.
Ooh, okay.
She sang a cover of Cruel Summer when she was 17, and she actually sang it. This was in 2020. So this would have been before she released her debut album, but after she was already, in public consciousness because of the Disney Channel. And I guess at the time, because, everyone was doing their like pandemic content.
Yeah.
And MTV was doing, they called it Alone Together jam session. And so people were like zooming in from different places and singing different songs.
I remember that.
Yes. So she sang a cover of Cruel Summer. I'm going to play a little bit of it here.
I'm excited. I love that song.
I love that song too. And I really love Olivia Rodrigo's voice. I think she's got such a sweet,
she's got a good voice.
And really strong range. Anywho, so both of these women are big fans of Taylor. Now, after Olivia Rodrigo posts this clip of her singing Cruel Summer, like this was on the MTV, whatever, Taylor actually reposts it to her Instagram. And shouts her out and says, like, this is such a beautiful cover. Thank you for covering this song. Because you have to remember, at this point, we haven't gotten Eras Tour yet. So Cruel Summer has not become the hit that it is now.
It didn't blow up yet. Yeah.
No, because she never released it as a single. So Cruel Summer was a deep cut. And, I think at that point, a lot of Taylor fans liked that song, but like the world didn't know that song.
Of course.
So, I think Taylor appreciated her picking one of her deep cuts and singing it, like showing it some love or whatever. So Taylor reposted it to her IG. Okay. So that's 2020.
It's all love so far.
It's all love, okay?
It's gonna take a turn.
Okay, so then we get to, she releases Driver's License as her single, and again, Taylor shows her love. Taylor posts about the song, congratulates her, and eventually also ends up sending her like flowers, congratulating her on the launch, sending her like a little gift. And it's all love. Olivia's, every time she's being interviewed, she's talking about how much she loves Taylor. She's talking about like how much this means to her. She does this one interview after Taylor has sent her, I think she sent her like a handwritten note and like a gift. And Olivia's just gushing. She's like almost in tears, talking about how much this meant to her and how, she grew up always listening to Taylor and, basically that this note was just so momentous for her. Okay. Well, then her album drops.
Oh no. And which one?
Olivia's first album, Sour, drops, because remember we first get the single Driver's License in January, but the album doesn't drop until May. And when the album drops, her second song, Deja Vu, a lot of Taylor fans are saying this about her, sounds like, no.
Oh, really?
No. They think Deja Vu sounds too similar to Cruel Summer.
Oh.
And basically they say this is plagiarism.
Yeah, I saw this drama on Twitter
when it happened. Yes. And see, now I was not plugged in. I didn't really recall this. But eventually Olivia ends up giving royalties to Taylor, crediting Taylor and Jack Antonoff for that song. So she ends up adding them as songwriters and has to pay millions of dollars in royalties. That song was huge.
Out of being bullied or out of like she had to?
Well, so we don't know exactly what happened. All we know is that in July, because the album drops in May, in July, she adds Taylor as a songwriter and now is paying Taylor millions. And like people have done the math on like what they think she would have had to have paid Taylor just in that year alone. Multiple millions of dollars in royalties is the estimate.
And then there was kind of like bad blood, right?
Well, so then that's exactly. So then while things had been so congratulatory between the two, Taylor had posted her on Instagram. Olivia had been gushing about her in every interview. Suddenly it's silent.
Ceased. Yeah.
Nobody's talking about anybody. Taylor's not talking about her. Olivia's not talking about Taylor. It's just like, boop. But here's my question. How similar are these songs really? So I'm going to play both.
I remember listening to them, but I don't remember what my opinion was.
I don't remember thinking these two songs sounded that similar once I kind of became hip to this drama, but it's been a long time since I've listened to both back to back. So that's what we're going to do.
Okay, we're
going to listen to Cruel Summer first because that is, you know, the
original,
quote, unquote,
the OG.
The original. Okay, so now that is Cruel Summer. Iconic. Let's listen. We were both really jamming.
I could have kept going too.
I could have kept going.
I love that song.
That song goes so hard. Okay, now let's listen to Deja Vu.
Okay, definitely know that song.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels a little bit like a reach, but I can see where people are like seeing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
the bridge. The bridge.
I
do hear it. I do the na na.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
It's a similar sort of. Yeah. I do hear it. It is now.
I feel like she voluntarily gave them the credit just to shut people up because that is a big reach for me.
To me, yeah, it feels a bit like a reach, but I will say, apparently, she did say, Olivia Rodrigo did say she was very inspired by Cruel Summer when she was writing her album. And I think so because she was on record saying that, and because those two bridges do sound like, it's not like it's not so much that they sound similar, it's more that they sound kind of in a similar vein, you know, like I don't know.
I don't even know how people caught it. I don't think I don't know that I would have caught it.
If I were someone who listened to Cruel Summer a lot and then listened to that song, I think I would have caught it. But just on my own, I don't know that I would have. So, but I do now that I'm really listening to both bridges back to back, I do hear it. I at first I was a little skeptical, but okay, fine. I do hear it. And yes, so she ends up giving Taylor songwriting credits, and after that, we just really do not hear anything from Olivia about Taylor. We don't hear anything from Taylor about Olivia. Olivia does not go to Eras Tour, which is very telling. And while all of this is unfolding, we start to see Taylor and Sabrina becoming closer. Because at first it's just like they get photographed at a couple different award shows together, Taylor and Sabrina, just like talking to each other. But then, yes, Taylor announces her as the opener for the international leg of Eras Tour in 2023.
And as a petty person, that feels a lot like a fuck you. Now I'm going to make sure she's the best and you suck.
Well, and so that is definitely how a lot of people took it. A lot of people took that as like, if you go and you read like Reddit threads and things about like Taylor and Sabrina, there are a lot of people who felt like Taylor was essentially dethroning Olivia and re-crowning Sabrina as sort of the next ingenue, the next protege, particularly, by making her the opener on her tour. And then, of course,
kind of does have that power.
Well, and I mean, I think it is. I do think it is fair to say she helped Sabrina a lot.
100%.
A lot.
I'd know a lot less about Sabrina Carpenter if it wasn't for Taylor Swift.
Completely agree. If she hadn't been an opener on her tour, I mean, I think that's the reason those nonsense outros blew up. As you know, as we spoke about on a different, I remember us bringing this up on a different episode, like those nonsense outros blew up, and we were so many people were watching live streams of Taylor every time she was on, anywhere. That helped blow Sabrina up. And as a result, I think you get Sabrina's album going to number one, short and sweet, going to number one.
Yeah. And then she's doing SNL Stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Espresso is number one
Yeah.
song. Of course, she wins best. I think it was best pop performance, best pop solo
Mhm.
performance for Espresso. So she has like just a crazy 2024, and I think a lot of
Mhm.
people would say a lot of that is because of the help she got from Taylor in
For sure.
2023.
To
That
give, like, Olivia, like, a little bit of credit, I think her songs are so strong and her lyrics are so strong and her tunes are so catchy that even though she's not getting elevated by a major pop star, she's still keeping up. She's not
mhm,
quite at Sabrina's level, but she's keeping up pretty good. Mm.
100%. I
Mhm.
mean, I would argue because here's the thing: when I think about this particular beef, the quote unquote Taylor beef,
Mhm.
yes, absolutely, Taylor gave Sabrina a huge leg up by letting her be an opener on her tour. But what you have to remember is in 2023, Olivia had already done her own world tour.
Yeah.
Like
That's fair.
Olivia was already big news. I actually don't
Mhm.
think even if Taylor had offered her the opportunity to open for her,
Yeah,
that
she might
she
not
would
have
have said
taken it.
yes, because I don't think it would have made sense for where Olivia was at that
Right.
point.
She wasn't an opening act kind of
No.
realm. Yeah.
She had already toured Sour and in
Mhm.
2024 did her world tour for Guts.
Mhm.
So I don't think in 2023 she was in a position to be
To
a quote
even
unquote
that do it.
opener.
Mhm.
I don't know that she would have done that anyway. Like she very much was a big deal. She won a Grammy for Best New Artist. She also won
Yeah.
a Grammy for Driver's License. I think also Best
Mhm.
Pop Solo Performance. So like Olivia was a big deal and still is.
Mhm.
And so even though people look at that and say, like, oh, Taylor dethroned Olivia, I don't see Olivia being dethroned. I still see
Yeah,
her
I don't
putting
think
out
so.
great music. I think it's
Yeah.
almost like that narrative. It does a lot of things,
Mhm.
all of which are a little unfair. On the one hand, I think it sort of assumes like Taylor is in the business of trying to help someone else at the expense of another person,
Mhm.
when in fact Taylor might just be helping
Right.
people. It might have
Yeah.
like
She
I
might
don't
not hate her at all.
right.
Yeah.
She might just have wanted to give this opportunity to Sabrina and not have
Mhm.
thought at all about Olivia while she was making that decision. In
Yeah.
fact, I think that's more likely.
Yeah. The song credit thing is really throwing me for a loop though, because that right there is giving like a little bit of beef.
Well,
Like,
yeah, I do think there
yeah.
was beef. I
Yeah.
do. And in fact, so after that songwriting credit happens, not
Mhm.
only do we not really hear either of them talking about one another, but
Mhm.
there has been speculation that some of the songs on Guts
Mhm.
are about Taylor.
Okay, so yeah, that's where I heard
And
that. Mhm.
and there's also some speculation that one or two of the songs on Tortured Poets Department are about Olivia.
Okay, see, I didn't know that, but I thought there was
Mhm.
something about in the Guts album about like Taylor maybe being like disingenuous or something.
So there is a song called The Grudge, which we will listen to.
Okay.
And a lot of people thought that this was Olivia talking about Taylor.
Okay.
So let's listen to a little bit of that.
Let's dive right into it. I'm about to like binge these albums when we
I
get off of
know.
here. I love it.
Yeah, I really liked Guts.
It was really good.
I thought it was a fantastic album.
Mhm. I mean, that feels like it's about her.
It really does. It really does feel like it is about Taylor. Listen,
Oh,
let me
shit.
read some of these lyrics. Okay, she
Read 'em.
says, first of all, the very opening sentence is, I have nightmares each week about that Friday in May. Remember, her album came out in May, and that is when she
Everyone
got the
started freaking
call.
out. Yeah.
She got the call that she had to give these little royalties to Taylor. Okay, so to continue,
Yeah.
I have nightmares each week about that Friday in May. One phone call from you, and my entire world was changed. Trust that you betrayed, confusion that still lingers, took everything I loved and crushed it in between your fingers. Oh my
What?
God.
So why does it feel like she almost gave her not necessarily permission to use her song, but like maybe she ran it by her and she was like, "Nah, it doesn't sound like Cruel Summer. You're good."
Well, and I think now that could be the case, but what I think she's saying is like we built this trust. I spoke about how much I loved you, like how good we were. You built me up as like, being like, because I think in one of her captions, or I think Taylor had written on Instagram in one of the captions, like she wrote a lyric to her song, something about like "Look at my baby." It's one of Taylor's lyrics, but she wrote that to Olivia. So very like endearing, very nurturing, very mothering. So I think there was like a real trust there. So then for her to say, "Trust that you betrayed, confusion that still lingers, took everything I loved and crushed it in between your fingers."
Oh shit. Maybe they sent like a notice from a lawyer that was like, this shit's too similar. Give us credit or we're suing you.
Yeah. And maybe, I mean, honestly, I could envision a world where
she folded immediately.
I could envision a world where Olivia, like where Taylor had been able to hear the album before the world did.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
because
same.
like, and
maybe didn't notice
didn't say anything until her fans started saying something. And when her fans said, "Oh, this sounds like Cruel Summer," maybe that's when Taylor and her team pushed the issue. And that is what really hurt Olivia, because she felt like, wait, I thought, we were good. Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah. Tough. Very
tough.
Very tough. And so that is the song that people think was about, potentially about Taylor. Now, what I didn't realize is there are people who think that Taylor's song, "Who's Afraid of Little Old Me," is referencing Olivia.
Shit. Okay.
I had not put that. Okay. I had not put that together.
See, because I thought that was like Kardashian based, but now I don't know.
See, and I don't think that song is just about one person or one situation. Like I think she's doing I think she's accomplishing a lot with that song.
I think so too.
Talking about fame, talking about how the public perceives her, talking about people backstabbing her, whatever, what have you. But I did hear, there's some speculation that Olivia is a part of that. So we're going to listen to a part of that song as well.
I love this song too.
I do too. I think it's so good.
I love this whole album.
You see, when these girls get mad, they just write bomb-ass songs. I wish. Yeah. Can you imagine?
I know. By the way, I die to be the person who just like writes a diss track. I love a diss track. I really do.
Just to have that level of skill, like, oh, you pissed me off, so let me just go ahead write a hit real quick.
Yeah. We just get an award for this shit.
Yeah.
Like I can see it, but I also feel like it's a reach. Like I can see it coming down the street, crashing the party because we're crashing the song, right?
Right.
But also that's not the same song, right? The driving around in the Suburban and the Deja Vu song credit, that's two different songs, right?
Yeah, no, that's different. Yeah. But I think like some of the other lyrics that come a little later, like the second verse where she says, "The scandal was contained, the bullet had just grazed, at all costs keep your good name. You don't get to tell me you feel bad." So I think people have sort of surmised from that, and even a little bit from the first verse, that like she's basically, the reason people think it might be about Olivia Rodrigo is because like she did take a fair amount of heat, Taylor did, for getting that songwriting credit. Like there were definitely people who were like, she's a bully in the industry. She's trying to take this young girl. Like this is this new young girl who's just out here. Taylor's a billionaire. Why is she trying to take, food off of her table? Blah, blah, blah. And so there were a lot of people who kind of criticized Taylor for that. And so, her saying like the scandal was contained, at all costs keep your good name, like, because you get to look like the innocent one.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think it's a bit of a reach, and I don't think that song is about just one person. But I think there could be a little bit of Olivia in there?
Yeah, I could see it. But then also I'm like, that song is almost like her coming out of the grave and like, "Did you want me dead?" I feel like that's a little dramatic for like the kind of drama it was, but maybe.
Well, but Taylor is dramatic now.
Yeah, it's true. So I don't know. Like, there's a hint of it. There's a hint.
Yeah, there's a hint. And the thing is, like, I definitely understand Olivia being hurt and Olivia being upset and being mad.
It's like her idol.
Yeah, I think that would be hurtful to anybody, but I also understand Taylor feeling like, I mean, one of the lyrics in that song is, "My bare hands paved their path." Like Taylor, I think, has in a lot of ways laid the groundwork for Olivia Rodrigo's career, and, and Sabrina Carpenter and a lot of these girls. So I can understand her feeling like, well, first of all, it does sound like my song, and you did say you were inspired by it, so
Yeah. And it's like,
you
I'm like,
know.
I wrote that shit in my living room with Jack Antonoff, bitch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I can see both sides. I can see why there'd be hurt
Mhm.
there. I will say,
Mhm.
like, Taylor still, when Olivia then went and performed Vampire at the
Mhm.
2024 Grammys, Taylor was still in the audience singing along.
Mhm.
She still responded. I recall Taylor responding to her Instagram post when Olivia posted Vampire on Instagram, Taylor
Mhm.
supporting on IG. So while there might be bad blood there, I do think Taylor has still, tried to show support
Yeah.
for her. And I
Yeah.
read recently that Olivia also showed support for Taylor. I think she liked some Instagram post about Taylor. So,
Mhm.
while they might not
Mm.
still have that same relationship where it started,
Yeah.
I do think there's still respect there. It appears
Yeah.
to me that they're still, supporting one another in some way.
Yeah. I think maybe, or I'd like to think that the beef is bigger in our minds than it is theirs. You know what I
It could
mean?
be. Absolutely.
I
It
like to
absolutely
think it
could be.
is.
And the thing is, like, and this is why I was saying there was a boy beef,
Mhm.
there's a music beef because we see all
Mhm.
these songs being traded back and forth. But then I think there is a friendship beef because I do
Yeah.
think, while they may not have ever been like actual besties, I do think there
Mhm.
was a real relationship between
Mhm.
Olivia and
Like a
Taylor. And I
girl
think,
power moment.
yeah, and I do
Mhm.
think there was real hurt there,
There's definitely real
particularly
hurt.
on Olivia's part. And so I
I
feel
would
like,
be hurt if I was Olivia.
and
If
what I
all
think
that's true,
people,
you know?
100%, but I think people then tried to turn that sort of relationship and that hurt between Olivia and Taylor. They tried to rope Sabrina into it because Sabrina,
Yeah.
developed a relationship with Taylor.
Totally.
And I just feel like, but do we need to do that?
We
Like, couldn't it
don't. We
couldn't it
don't.
just be that Taylor was
Mhm.
previously, in a better place with Olivia? Now she's in a good place with Sabrina, but actually these two things are not related in any way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, no, because it's the media and they
Because
have
it's the
to hate
media,
each other.
right?
Yeah,
You're right.
they
You're right.
have to hate each other. The
Right.
music
Exactly.
doesn't hit the same.
Right. But meanwhile, the two of
Mhm.
them, Sabrina and Olivia, were photographed at this year's Grammys,
Yeah.
like talking to one
So
another.
so they must be cool.
So yeah, to me it
Mhm.
seems like these two women do not dislike each other, Olivia and Sabrina. And even through the boy beef and the music beef and the friendship beef with Taylor,
Yeah.
it doesn't actually seem like there's a real current beef between
Yeah,
the
I
two
don't
of
think
them.
so. I don't think so. I think we'd see way more animosity come forward, and I don't know, or they're doing a really good job of hiding it.
Right. Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree. And, in terms of, to me, how they've helped one another, I just really think they both have made the most out of these quote unquote beefs in the media because
Mhm.
they're both literal superstars. I think
Yeah,
they rode the wave of
they
the love
did.
triangle drama, and they've continued riding the wave of like the Taylor Swift protege drama
Yeah,
to succeed. Like, they are both still
totally.
extremely successful.
Yeah, it propelled them.
100%. It
Mhm.
absolutely propelled them. 100,000%.
Yes.
The other thing I will say is I feel like both of them have, and I do think this is a lesson they probably both really took from Taylor,
Mhm.
have excelled in taking their personal narratives, including the stuff that, the public is sounding off on or trying to turn into drama,
Mhm.
and putting that in their music,
Mhm.
and, like we said, turning it into hits. Like,
Yes.
they both have just
Yes.
done that so
And
successfully,
Taylor's so good at that.
and Taylor's so good at that.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like, I don't know, even just being in Taylor's orbit for however long have
Yeah,
definitely helped both of them.
for sure.
So, yeah,
She's been doing it
I
longer. She's
mhm,
obviously very successful at it, so it'd be stupid not to think that they're not learning things from her.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And I think probably also learning things from one another. Like we
For
said, they
sure.
both I think the fact that they were in that little love triangle helped them both escape their Disney past.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the fact that neither of them, it's like neither of them let the love triangle story become their whole personality and brand.
Yes, that's so
You know what I
true. It
mean? They
happened
like,
and it's over and they moved on. Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
It does
It was
feel
a
like that.
moment in time, but they used it as a little
Mhm.
stepping stone to say like, yes, I'm an adult and whatever this happened, but like I'm a musician first and foremost.
Yeah.
And I think they both really benefited from that. And just we've seen such good storytelling and songwriting for both of them, and for them to both be so young. Like, I'm
Mhm.
very excited for what we're going to continue to
Yeah.
get from them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's going to be great.
I agree. I'm very excited for both of these young
Mhm.
women, and
Yeah, me too.
I love that even throughout all the drama, like it seems like they both have just continued to shine and do what they're good at. And I'm excited to see what's next for both of them.
Yeah, we've never seen their crown slip yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm. That's it for season 2, everyone. Be sure to follow us on TikTok at Two Queens, Two Crowns and to check out the podcast on YouTube, Two Queens, Two Crowns.
Yes, it is a wrap on season 2. We've had so much fun hanging with you guys, laughing with you guys, reading all of your comments. And if you are subscribed on Patreon or on Apple or Spotify, you will still get your bonus episode in March. Don't you worry about that. But like I said, we will be back in April for season 3, back with more laughs, back with more duos, more queens.
Yeah.
So be sure to join us then. And in the meantime, be sure to follow us on our personal socials so you can keep key with us over there. I'm on TikTok at @IM_KJ Miller and YouTube with the handle I am KJ Miller. And Erica's on IG at Let A Be Know and TikTok at Let A Bitch Know. We'll see you in season 3.
Bye. See you in
Bye.
April.